So anyway, let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting. So we're going to start the Public Safety Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Present.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Howard,
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Bosley,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Present.
Alderman Narayan,
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderman Page,
Present.
Chairman Bucaro.
Present.
9 present, you have quorum.
Okay. What we need then, let's go ahead and need a motion for the approval of the minutes from the January 19th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from January 19th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
You want
Roll call.
So we need a roll call. There's been a request for roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
Aye.
Chairman Bucaro.
Aye.
8 aye votes.
Okay. We're going to start off with the director of the jail and the public safety director. We also have speakers. So a couple things that I'd like to start with, since it's been in the media and since the media has called me, and that if I could, I'd like to start with what exactly happened the other day. Hearing multiple stories back and forth. We don't need to name names. I know we can't do that. But, I've gotten calls from police officers. I will tell you what my understanding is, and then you can correct me if you would like. I do know we have to swear everybody in, but let me just give you what my understanding. My understanding, if I'm a police officer, and this comes from multiple officers that have called me, I bring someone to the jail, whether it's anything. Okay. When they get to the jail, the nurse is the first person they see. The nurse apparently does a swab for COVID. So they say this person has COVID or doesn't. If the person has COVID, they don't accept them into the jails. They tell them you have to take them to a hospital or wherever and get them a note saying fit for confinement. My understanding is it's just not that simple. You can't, then if, because the hospitals and tying up an officer and all that, it just doesn't make it practical. Then I saw what I believe you said, Director, that's not exactly true, that we have places that we can confine them, that we don't have to send them to a hospital. If they test positive there for COVID, they can be put into a special area and be isolated for the 5 or 8 days or whatever it is. Then I see the notes that they sent me, that the things on the wall that say opposite of that. So what I'd like to do is swear you in, and then I'll swear everybody as we talk. If you can kind of just tell us what is and, you know, and again, what, you don't have to get into a whole lot of particulars, but what is the real system? Who put it in place? The note on the wall that we all have, where'd that come from? And again, you don't have to name names. So, Dan, if Director Isom, if you don't mind, can I swear you in then real quick?
Yes, yes, Chair.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, should I do that or do you do that? Swearing everybody now.
Generally, it's the chair.
Yeah, okay, so I can do that. So do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I knew you would. I believe that.
And Mr. Chair, if it please you, could we start with Commissioner Clemens Abdullah? Because I think this all centers around, at least the allegation is that people are not accepted into the correction side. And so I wanted her to be able to explain what the process is for acceptance.
Okay, sure. Commissioner, it's Commissioner, right? Should be Commissioner. Commissioner Clemens Abdullah, do you swear or affirm that you'll tell us the truth?
I do.
Okay, please go ahead then.
So the process is we receive anybody that comes into the jail, whether they are COVID positive or not.
Well, so the note that was on the wall there says somewhat differently, and from multiple officers that have called me, there must be somewhere somebody put a policy in that says differently than that. It said, is the process, am I wrong? Do they bring someone in, they get tested, and if they test positive, they don't get confined, that either they have to go to the hospital and get a fit for confinement. I mean, is that, so maybe if you can tell me the process of how that works. I'm a police officer. I'm at your doorstep now. The door works, I hope now, used to not work. But anyway, I'm at the entrance door. I got this guy with me. Get a test. Now, the test I got, the guy with me, he tests positive. What's the next step?
The next step is they do take them for a fit confinement. That's been policy way before I came along, is they do get a fit for confinement because things may be going on with the arrestee that we don't have a knowledge of. So therefore, a fit for confinement comes to us, or after they obtain it, the arrestee comes to us.
Right. So, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
as the commissioner said, that's a normal process for jail or prison to get a fit for confinement. So what that means is that if you test positive, we don't know what your underlying conditions are. We don't know how that COVID positive test or being COVID positive is affecting you. So the last thing we would want to do, right, is have someone COVID positive, process them all the way through the process, put them into the correctional facility, and they're having breathing problems or they're having heart problems. So this is just a way of protecting and ensuring that the person is fit to be able to be confined in the facility. And that's not just for COVID, that's for any potential ailment that we might discover upon processing somebody and doing a screening coming in. You could be a person who has diabetes, really serious diabetes problem, and you don't have medicine for that. Maybe we have to take you to the hospital. So it could be a variety of different things, but that's just standard protocol for police and correctional facilities.
Okay, because that has to be somewhat of a change, because I know from past that, and I'll go back before your time, where people were being put in and died, it goes back a little way when I started really having issues with the jails themselves. Where family members would say this person absolutely needs their medication. And I hadn't gotten that argument before where they said, no, we have to determine what medication, they have to go through our system. And in the case of this one lady, she ended up committing suicide, and they said, well, that's really not our problem. I don't know, it just seems like, and again, I can only go by officers, which at some point maybe also have to subpoena some people just to get them in, so they're free to talk. But from the officers that called me, and it's upwards of about 10 that have called me, they tell me this is a policy that has just been in the last 2 to maybe 3 weeks, not.
Well, I provided you with the special order on booking procedures for the police department. This process of fit for confinement goes back all the way when I started as a police officer. I think the issue, Mr. Chair, is that COVID is something different than, of course, we've ever dealt with in our lifetime. And so the volume of people, of course, coming in with COVID and the volume of fit for confinements are way more than usual. So it is taxing on our system to do it, but it's something that we must do to make sure that we're not placing someone in the facility who might have other issues related to COVID, and that is not detected. So,
I mean,
I think what the officers are saying is true. It's just that because of COVID, the volume is much more than you would normally have.
and now there's a third variant of the COVID out that's not even detectable. So I don't know. I saw that on the news today, that there's now a new third.
Right.
But and I guess the question I keep getting asked is who made the decision? And again, without naming names, but somebody had to make the decision. I know you say it was the police officer that made the decision. They're saying, no, it's the policy and the jail. And I don't even want to be in an argument about it. Just, I would say, keep in mind you're under oath, but, try to, I don't really know that I want to get into the guts of all this, but
Right.
if somebody made a decision. This lady who's been sending me pictures has burns and it seems to me like in talking to her, well, I don't want to get into her case. So anyway, but
Yeah. So
she's a lot of fear there.
I agree with you, and it was awful burns and injuries that the victim has. And so we all feel for what she has gone through and the trauma that she has endured because of this. But what I know right now, Chairman Vaccaro, as I provided you with the policy indicates that before allowing for a release like this, the commander should be assured that there is no risk of injury to anyone for releasing a person. That is the policy. And so that's why investigation was open, because we do believe there was a risk, a threat of injury to someone. And because of that, we opened an investigation to determine why that decision was made to release that person. And I would just say, it's not an officer's decision. It's not the officers who arrested. This is a decision that must come from a commander, not an officer. So I just want to make that clear. This is not the officer's responsibility. This is the commander's responsibility.
I will, and again, because of, personal issues and stuff, we can't get into, but I appreciate, Commissioner Abdullah, do you have anything you want to add? And then I'm going to start going through the committee just on this, and then we're going to go around to the original reason we're all here. And we'll try not to take up a whole lot of your time. Did you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Okay, what I'd like to do, I'm gonna go down the committee. We're gonna start with just this one, but then, and then well, maybe we can actually, you know, well, let's go through this real fast and keep it fairly simple. Then I'm gonna go back around to the reason we started this one a few weeks back, and that was the workers, how well they're handled, you know, seriously getting into how we can get them paid better, more protection, stab vests, and the representative from the unions here. But let's go through the committee. This will be just on the first. If anybody has any questions about the release, you know, and keep in mind that they cannot say like, oh, it was, even if they said, well, it's this person, oh, he's a major or sergeant or a captain, something that can make it easy to trace back to a person. You said, oh, well, that was the person, or a jailer or whoever. They can't say that because it makes it easy. If they say, oh, it's the night shift prison guard that made this decision, it would make it easy for somebody to say, oh, we know who that was. So keep in mind that, you know, they can't get into anything that would trace back to anybody, like a name, because it's personnel. So I'm going to go down the list. Vice Chairman Boyd, any questions on that?
I don't have any questions. Certainly, this is very damaging to the credibility of the city and how we manage people that we send to the corrections. I'm going to just follow the process. The director said there's an internal investigation, and I will just wait and reserve judgment to the outcome of the investigation is over with. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Davis, did you join us? Not yet. Okay, Alderwoman Howard, questions, comments? She may have stepped away because she had said earlier she had somewhere to be. Alderwoman Spencer, questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity, but I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, and keep in mind, we're going to come around to the original thing. Alderwoman Pam Boyd, questions or comments? You have to turn your. No, okay. Alderman Bosley, questions or comments?
I do have a question. Have we apprehended the young man yet?
Yes, and the answer was yes, and he's out on bond.
And he's back out on bond.
She's on bond. She does. She's applied for an order of protection, and she's very concerned because even though he's out on bond, they didn't take his guns away from him, and she's concerned. But that's the court's not nobody here.
Right. I mean, well, he's not convicted yet. Could they take him right now? As he's being.
He's. I have a very vague understanding just after talking to her, but my understanding, he's out on bond. So, and obviously he shouldn't go around her.
Right. Understood. And, I guess just for safety purposes, if we can, that'd be something I think we all should just be looking into, making sure we can maybe speak to a judge and get that expedited for any way we can. Sometimes they don't, just things don't go the way that the victim intends for them to go when they go in front of the judges sometimes. So, whatever we can do.
She had, and again, this is just hearsay because I wasn't there. She said that the only way she even found out that there was going to be a hearing was on CaseNet, and she showed up. She feels like the prosecutor's office, could have done more to let her know that this was coming up, and the victim advocate person. But again, that's nobody in this group. And we can ask the prosecutor to come in and speak on any of this. If anybody wants any of that, I will send something out saying I'd like the prosecutor to come in and speak. And if she chooses not to, then we'll have her brought in to speak. I mean, we're not trying to beat anybody up. Just what a lot of people don't get is the aldermen, we get hit by all the people in the neighborhood that call us and go, well, what about that? Well, why aren't you doing something? Well, we're not. So we're just trying to get to the facts and not beat anybody up. And
Right, absolutely.
I agree. But he is out on bail, but yes, he was brought back in.
Okay, good. So I guess my question is specifically, and I guess this is so we can ensure situations like this are minimized in the future. We all are going through a different way that we're dealing with things through this pandemic, and things go up, they go down. This is a roller coaster ride. We are all over the place, and trying to keep the city safe, and then trying to keep people safe from each other at the same time, and spreading this virus. So, things get interesting when decision making it's really kind of life or death for everything. You want to keep people outside from individuals they could possibly harm. And then with all the people that are inside, when you got individuals coming in with COVID, you want to try to keep them safe also from the population on the inside of the jails. So I guess moving forward to ensure that once again, this, because we're not going to be able to stop every single mistake from happening, but as things move forward, what would be, I guess, the best practice in relation from, with us being on the Public Safety Committee, with the kind of fingers being pointed at different points right now, as we normally see with different departments, what would be the best step forward so we can ensure that whatever protocols are set in place for instances like this, we know that this was followed or that was followed. Therefore, it's not a point the finger thing at this point. We kind of know where the ball was dropped. We just kind of figure out what's the best way to communicate from this point forward.
Well, if you don't mind, I could try to answer that, because I worked with Dan Isom. Actually, I have to say Alderman Boyd worked hard with Dan Isom, the mayor's office, Reverend Gray, Adolfo Pruitt, and together we came up with the board bill that you actually voted on. We all voted. In fact, it passed out with all of us to put together a commission that will have some oversight and look, not as much oversight, but they're going to be an advocate for the people in the jail as well as the people working in the jail. It's a really good commission. It has people from different walks, as far as someone that's been incarcerated. So will be on this. We just put the press conference, we sent the press release out today. And if you know anybody interested in wanting to serve on this, they'll have full access and cooperation to be able to talk to the people working in the jail and to the people that are housed in the jail, so that things like this, we don't have to be working on it. That hopefully this is something that group will be able to work on. And there's a second board bill that the commissioner's working on, along with the mayor's office and the Board of Aldermen. Alderman Claude Hubbard's working on that one, and it'll take it even one step further. So,
And also, that's a good question, Alderman Bosley. A couple of things. I do think, based on the preliminary investigation of this, there were some unique circumstances that led to this, sort of poor decision to make this release. So I do think this is not a typical way that this is handled, but I agree with Alderman Boyd that it definitely is something that is not good for our community. So what we have done is one, the commissioner and the chief have met to discuss what happened and to make it clear what the policies are and the rules are going forward. And then as we conduct this investigation, if we find that this is something that is more of a pattern, we will deal with that as well. But I do think there were some unique circumstances in this case preliminarily that led to this lapse. We don't see it as a widespread issue right now, but if the investigation reveals that, we will deal with it. And the chief and the commissioner have met to discuss how we can make sure that everybody is on the same page.
Okay, thank you. Well, I appreciate you all's service. I definitely know that a lot of decision making is very difficult, especially in times like this. You know, we're all trying to figure out each and every day where we're getting information on how we need to stay alive, you know, just from the Omicron and all these other variants that are happening around us at the same time while doing our job. So, you know, y'all's job is easy. So, once again, I appreciate you all service. I appreciate you, both the commissioners, appreciate you all service. And I'm just looking forward to us, you know, working towards getting it right. Apologies to the young lady who was victimized and felt that she has not been treated the way that she should be as a taxpaying citizen in the city. Her safety is at risk. I just want her to know that we do care. And as a city, sometimes we do make mistakes that we're not proud of course, which is why we are working towards right now having conversations to see what it is that we can do to make sure those mistakes aren't repeated. And people do feel comfortable with living in our city and feeling protected in the city. I appreciate you, Alderman Vaccaro, Chairman Vaccaro, for setting this hearing up. Once again, this is not a bad session. We're all just trying to figure out what is the best way to move forward to ensure that our residents feel safe. As you know, when the word gets out in the community about certain things that happen, it spreads like wildfire, and folks, you know, really tend to listen to each other, as we should, because word of mouth is, you know, is everything. It's how we've always been able to communicate. So we just want to make sure that we are starting to balance that negativity with the positivity. And whenever we have something negative that happens, we reinforce that with a positive action that shows that, yeah, we did this, but we also did that also to, you know, try to mitigate that situation, right that wrong. So once again, I appreciate you all. And I have no further questions or comments.
Alderman Muhammad, have you joined us yet? He might be running late. Alderman Oldenburg, anything on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm a little confused. Are we addressing the issue here? Are we coming back to it from another?
So what we're doing, this is strictly on the person that was released. And
Okay.
then the
Good.
second go around is going to be on, you know, have to do with the workers there.
Got it.
The other things going on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I certainly want to thank Commissioner Clemens Abdullah and Director Isom. You guys, you know, with shortly after this incident happened, you quickly volunteered your time to come and discuss it with this committee, and I appreciate that, as you always do. You know, under no duress or subpoena, you always come forward with the facts. So I appreciate you both doing that again here today, sincerely. I will say though here, this incident should haunt this committee. It should haunt anyone who discusses justice for victims. It should haunt public safety, the term. It should haunt the city, and it should haunt the mayor's office. And I know that you know, Director Isom, you brought, you know, forward that there's probably a unique set of circumstances that existed here. While I may agree with that, I do think what is not unique, unfortunately, is the way victims feel here of late in this city. Victims are uneasy. They feel unsafe. There have been multiple media stories of the circuit attorney's office falling derelict on their duties and making victims feel incredibly unsafe, and getting nowhere near justice. Now, granted, those are isolated offices. I understand that. But the general theme, and again, what is not unique here, is the way victims are feeling around this and when mistakes are made. So I think the challenge of this committee, I think the challenge of the directors and the mayor's office, quite frankly, and the circuit attorney's office is to correct that, to ensure that victims feel that they're going to get justice, and for Pete's sake, that they feel they're going to be safe and not be re-victimized again by the criminals that hurt them in the first place. So I'll certainly wait for the facts of the investigation to come out. I look forward to that. But this is another sad day for victims in our city, and I look forward to us addressing it. I think you're on mute, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing further.
Okay, that was the question I was asking anyway. I apologize, and I did. I mute myself because my dogs sometimes like to let us know they're here. So Alderman Brett Narayan.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to thank everyone for their time here today, and I'd like to wait until we have all the facts here and hopefully come back and readdress this once the investigation is complete. And so with that, thank you, and I have no further questions.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, and Alderman Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions or comments to add to what's already been said so far. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Davis, I see you joined us. Anything, we're on the subject only of the releasing, then we're gonna come around and do the jail and the, okay. Alderwoman Davis.
Yes, sir. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to say to our directors of public safety and corrections that you have been expedient in providing information and addressing the public. And we do appreciate that because that's very important. And I do know that you have challenges because I remember, I want to say it was maybe in October that there was a detailed explanation given to our committee about the process and procedure for COVID victims that were housed in our facilities, and the protocol for separation, all of that. And it's unfortunate that because of all the back and forth that has gone on, all the unnecessary, what I can consider to be delayed opportunities for us to move forward and remedy with a lot of things. There are employees who are confused, the citizens are confused, the victims are confused, we are confused, and things get out of order. It is critical that we make sure that our victims get all information about the services that are available to them, because there are many. And I do remember in the past, and I know that Director Eisen remembers this, when he was on the force, a victim was given all kinds of assistance, and it was given to them in writing to keep with them. They got direct assistance immediately after cause, and folks were assigned to be with them to help them through the process. Various agencies were involved, including up to the state level, providing assistance to victims. And it was rare that you heard the kinds of things that we have heard, most especially in this last year or so. And I think I agree with Alderman Bosley that a lot of it does have to do with COVID. We've had a lot of turnover and everything else in our system. but it always gives you an opportunity to make it better. And I do believe that that is what is going to happen with you all's leadership. And I'm waiting to hear the final results from your investigation. And I would, I don't know how to say this any more sincerely, that everybody has to work together. We can't say, well, this person can run their agency the way they want to. No, we have got to make each other responsible to our citizens. And there is no reason why we can't do that. The victim services that are provided, the grievance opportunities for free for them to go and get counseling. There are all kinds of things, helping them with relocation. It's out here and it's free. And we have agencies that do a good job. So we've got to do better in communication. And I thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we're going to come back. I would ask, I see a lot of older people that are not on the committee. If you would want to speak, I guess either pop your picture on so I know, or if you just put in the chat, include me or something, I can make sure and include you in the conversation. But we've gone through the committee. So I think what we'll do.
Mr. Chair,
Did you have any questions, or we're only on
I
the
just,
on the
okay.
part with the person that was released?
yes, I just, ditto what has been said and just hope that we are on the track to restore public confidence in our public safety. This is a mar on our city, and as the alderman from the 16th said, this is something that we need to, the whole city needs to recover from. There's just so many things and so many slings and arrows that are eroding the confidence of the people in public safety in the city of St. Louis. We need to have some wins here. So I hope that we can take an upward, and as the alderman from the 19th said, work together to restore some confidence in the citizenry of St. Louis. Thank you. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
And I'm sure at the end of all this, I notice every story that has a happy ending or a rainbow, you got to have a storm before you have the rainbow. So can't have a happy ending unless you have something to be unhappy about. So we're going to go now to what we actually originally first started. And so what I'd like to do is I want to swear the rest of everyone else in.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
this is a very serious incident that just happened. If I could be excused.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Commissioner, we'd like to keep you, and something's probably not good that we'll see on a news flash or something here for the director to have to jump off like that. I'm sure nothing good there. The representative of the union is here, Mr. Hahn. Okay. Jeff, I want to go ahead and swear you in, and Mr. Alexander, I'm going to swear you in. I'm doing one at a time. So, Jeff, do you swear that to tell the truth? You affirm or swear to tell the truth? It's simply yes or no. Okay, and you have to hear it. I'm sorry. Okay, and Mr. Alexander, again, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth? Like it's like a yes or no. But I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I can see you saying stuff, but I have to be able to hear you. Do you have another way to get a sound? He's unmuted, but for some reason your sound's not there. Maybe if you maybe we can have you do your sound by phone or something? Let's see, Madam Clerk. I wonder if we can somehow figure out how we can get him to have sound. Maybe send him a link so he can get on by phone or something, or,
Let me get one of my staff to walk down.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
I think it's something on his end.
Right, she's gonna have one of her staff go down
Okay.
and do that. And then we have a couple board bills, a resolution that we need to get out so we can spend the Prop S money. And that one, the vice chairman will handle all that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's very soft. Just speak real loud.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, do you affirm or swear that you'll tell us the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna start with their representative, Mr. Hahn. Can you let us know what some of the grievances, the problems that you hear from the different people you represent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Jeff Hans. I'm a business representative for the Mid-America Carpenters Regional Council, and one of the many departments I represent is the Department of Corrections. As all of you are aware, this past year has been the most dangerous for the Department of Corrections. Many, if not most, correctional officers go their entire career without ever having to experience a riot. During this last year, within months, there were 6 either uprisings or riots at CJC. And also during a pandemic, which has caused many officers to have PTSD syndrome, and leave, retire, quit, transfer. When after the first riot occurred, I reached out to the Director of Personnel, Richard Frank, to try to get either hazard pay, an increase in salary for our officers. And it was kicked down the road that we would meet in the fall of 2021 when our normal negotiations would start up. Then the next riot occurred. I reached out again, and Richard Frank kept assuring me we would meet at the next time negotiations would start. Our current MOU runs till 2023, so the only time we open it up is for pay issues, and that normally does happen anywhere October, November. So I was quite frankly shocked when I read in the newspaper that Richard Frank had in fact retired effective December 1st without ever communicating with us that he had no intent of ever trying to get a raise for the correctional officers. He just delayed until he was obviously going to be gone. Now the county had one riot. The county council got together and voted in a $6,000 increase for the county correctional officers, which has certainly been problematic for our correctional officers because they see they're being taken care of out in the county, but there is none being done here in the city. And it's not by any failure of the union to try to negotiate. It's just that, you know, I don't want to bash a guy who's no longer in office, but quite frankly, I don't think Richard Frank was present for most of the last year himself, probably why he chose to retire. This is problematic for the Division of Corrections and certainly puts Commissioner Collins Abdullah in a unique position that she's having a hard time staffing the place because there's more money to be made just miles away from here. So I'm hoping that now that there is a new Director of Personnel. She was appointed by the mayor, Sylvia Donaldson, which I don't see her present in this, which is unfortunate. I'm hoping that they will want to meet and start the process over, or maybe this legislative branch can help us get that negotiation process started. Like I said, the correctional officers are very disgruntled. They need some assistance, and I completely agree with them am very sympathetic. I could answer any questions that you may have.
And I got a news flash. I guess the reason that Dan had to leave was 2 officers were shot and taken to the hospital. So that's not good.
No.
You know, anyway, that's not good. Anyway, Mr. Abdullah, I'm sorry, Mr. Alexander, would you kind of give us your perspective? And then we're gonna, and Commissioner, at any time you would like to jump in, feel free just to unmute yourself and jump in if you have questions or comments. And we're actually here, to help to see what the problems are. I have a fairly good idea of what the problems are, but we're here to actually help. We might seem mean, but we're here to help. So if you could, please, Mr. Alexander, go ahead.
All right. And you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, but speak real loud because I could barely hear you.
That's fine. I'll speak loud. That's kind of normal for me. So I wrote, and I sent it to you in the email as well. I wrote something that I wanted to read to you so that I could stay on point and give you a better understanding of what us as corrections deals with. Members of the Public Safety Committee, I provide you with the following information explaining what it's like to be a correctional officer in the city of St. Louis. Most people may visualize correctional officers is nothing more than guards, turnkeys, watchmen. However, the fact is, while it's easy to forget about and mislabel us, we are the law enforcement professionals who deal with society's worst fears on the daily. Correctional officers are so much more than guards, turnkeys, or watchmen. We are law enforcement professionals who provide care, custody, and who monitor, supervise, and address the... Can you all hear me okay?
It's real soft, but I can hear what you're saying. Some of them can't. Is there any way you can, I would ask everybody to turn their speaker up. I turned mine up.
I turned mine up and it's a little bit better if you turn yours.
Yeah, I can hear, but in order to do that, I have it turned to the max and my device right up to my ear. But that's the only way I could hear. It's very low.
Okay, let me, I'm getting a mic set up. I apologize, you all. Can you hear me better now?
Oh, yeah.
You can hear me much better now?
Oh,
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you. I apologize, you all. This system is a little bit older, so, all right, thank you. So I'm going to start over here real quick, but it won't take too long, and I apologize again. But like I said, I wrote something to give you just an overall idea of what we've been dealing with the last year or two, especially, but even before that, as I've been with the Division of Corrections 16 years. So today I provide you with the following information explaining what it's like to be a correctional officer in the city of St. Louis. Most people may visualize correctional officers as nothing more than guards, turnkeys, watchmen. However, the fact is, while it's easy to forget about and mislabel us, we are law enforcement professionals who deal with society's worst fears on the daily. Correctional officers are so much more than guards, turnkeys, or watchmen. We are the law enforcement professionals who provide care, custody, and who monitor, supervise, and address the concerns of those people who make free society an uncomfortable place. Unlike police, firefighters, and EMTs who receive praise for being present, and yes, they do endure their set of circumstances, or for just being seen driving down the street, the only recognition correctional officers receive is when something has gone extremely wrong. Otherwise, we get mercilessly slammed and criticized by the media, the citizens, and at times, mayoral administrations, and even at times, our previous management, despite the fact that we are doing the best we can, following divisional policies, applicable laws, working with the little we are given by the city of St. Louis. Following the quelling of our many crises that we have had the last year, the praise from the media and certain administrators often go to the sheriff's department, police department, who respond after the fact. However, the media and the citizens are not aware there is a combined effort with correctional law enforcement professionals, sheriffs, and police to quell the chaos. The media and citizens don't seem to realize or understand most time each correctional officer is responsible for up to 60 inmates at a time during our tours of duty by ourselves, when more officers are needed to watch that many people. More often than not, corrections has 2 or 3 male officers on duty at a time to deal with situations that involve more than 1 inmate, when there's supposed to be 3 at a minimum to 1 unruly inmate, okay? And I said, you know, it is obvious that correctional officers may be considered replaceable and low brow, plain and simple rejects of the law enforcement profession. It doesn't matter the hardships we endure at work each day, trying to uphold order amongst constant chaos within facilities lacking necessary devices and equipment, and trying to continue to do our jobs despite the impractical and unrealistic political decisions made by people who know nothing about corrections or who have vengeful agendas to try to make it fail. You know, it's not the police officers, firefighters, or EMT who provide care for those confined individuals or those who would rather be free. The correctional officers, we do this every day, and we are ignored, overlooked, and disregarded. Regardless of the circumstances correctional officers are up against, and no matter how unfairly we are treated or how monumental the overall circumstances, we press on and endure. And when I say we press on, it matters not how many of us have been severely injured. We still show up and get the job done. These frequent and numerous injuries suffered by multiple staff are both physical and mental, but very little is done to address either. Here are a few of the correctional officers working in the trenches who have been injured within the last year. Lieutenant Cordelia Washington, she was left alone in a disciplinary segregation unit with known.
I would say, I don't know if you can name names.
Oh, can't name names, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't do that because I think, I don't think you can. I don't think.
Okay, that's fine. I won't name names.
I wouldn't, but you can say incidences, but I would not name names. I don't think we can under HIPAA.
Enough said, and you did explain that. I apologize. We have a lieutenant who was left alone in a disciplinary segregation unit with known inmates who are known to violently attack staff. The lieutenant was subsequently assaulted by the 4 males, and she received injuries very similar to the young lady out of St. Louis County. But unlike what happened in St. Louis County, the circuit attorney here pressed no charges. In fact, one of the inmates who was instrumental in the attack actually got released like a week later into the community. You know, an officer who responded, he was assaulted by one of the inmates, a separate inmate in the same incident. No charges pressed against that inmate. As a result, that officer, you know, they resigned shortly after. We had several officers that were assaulted during the riots. They quit. We have another officer that was pushed to the ground by an inmate and was pummeled like she was a grown man. We have several officers in the last week and a half that have been punched in the face. We have another couple of officers within the last couple of weeks that have had feces and urine thrown on them. And these were just a few. You know, these and other assaults occur so easily in part due to the extreme staff shortage in corrections and lack of accountability by those who would demonstrate this violent behavior. But we can also attribute it to things like management being restricted by rules that hinder the division, lack of application of law, extremely low wages with seemingly no possibility for a salary increase, not being recognized as law enforcement professionals and first responders, which meant no hazard pay, being extremely overworked with excessive overtime, which is necessary every day on all 3 shifts. Despite the current staff being overlooked for salary increases, according to the current director, it's different for new hires. The starting salary was raised for incoming officers, but no wage increase were given to the current officers. Yet we are expected to continue to put everything into city corrections. This is very difficult for us. You know, anyone hired as a new correctional officer doesn't yet realize they're coming to work in a profession where they have to risk it all where they have all the risk, but none of the reward. It just doesn't add up. You know, in the past year and a half, so many officers have started, but don't stay. When they realize they can go to St. Louis County, St. Charles County, or anywhere else in the region, be treated better, working under better conditions, and receive more on their paycheck. The city of St. Louis obviously doesn't appreciate the work or significance of correctional officers. Our salaries basically dictate we live paycheck to paycheck. The only time our existence is taken into consideration is when things go wrong and misinformation is given and reported to the public. We are very rarely given the opportunity to respond or correct that information. You know, for example, you know, when a tour was given of the workhouse, there were many things that were said that were out of order, but we were never given the opportunity, or we were never asked how it got that way. You know, the issue is that they don't often consider the struggle endured by the frontline staff, and most times have no interest in the opinions of the frontline staff. Correctional officers, we work a thankless job where we deal with the criminal element 24/7. But as far as the average citizen is concerned, everything must be okay as long as they are able to sleep comfortably at night. We are citizens of the city too, most of us, and everything is not all right. We put in a very hard and extremely long day of work protecting the city within the confines of the Division of Corrections and beyond. But instead of the city and the applicable people taking responsibility and addressing the true matter at hand in corrections, despite all our work, us correctional officers, who are also law-abiding citizens, are often thrown under the bus. The average person would never imagine that a correctional officer is a law enforcement professional who not only endures the same as any other law enforcement officer, but also has to, by law, demonstrate and get trained in the skills of a policeman, a fireman, an EMT, and a mental health counselor. Everything you consider the holy trinity of public safety and first responders. And publicly, you all are just now doing, or people are just now doing what we have deployed every day of my career as a correctional officer, and that is addressing the mental illness aspect of criminal conduct. We are rolled up into one individual, everything public safety is about, with nothing to show for it but disregard and disrespect. The training we receive, which should be ongoing and is required by law, has been reduced only to the benefit of physical fitness rather than contributing to the officer's ability to better provide a much needed service to the community which we officers serve. Yet we are liable when anything goes wrong and subjected to thanklessness so long as everything is going right. As long as it goes right, that thanks is reserved for anyone other than the officers that make it possible. The very same officers who are working around the clock overtime, who can barely think straight and are up against impossible odds, who almost fall asleep driving home, who are missing out on valuable time with loved ones just to serve the needs of those who society deems unfit to join them. I am here today to tell you that we cannot continue to operate under these conditions. We are calling on you to act, to recognize us, to recognize our plight, our plea for help. Recognize us for the valor we display on the daily while being shorthanded and underpaid by 30%. Recognize that we had a previous person in human resources who made it known that we are underpaid by a minimum of $6 grand and intentionally held off on our salaries with no intentions to make us whole. Recognize that any new officers who the new officers who have not endured none of the pain, none of the suffering that we have will come in the door making as much money as those of us who have been here 16 years plus. You know, recognize that while it's not widely known, many correctional officers expire before we ever reach retirement. And those of us who do retire die shortly afterwards. And if we live by some miracle, the quality of life is so bad due to the continued stress, and because of the previous mentioned hazards, it's not a life typically worth living. Recognize that we deserve to retire after 20 years of service or at the age of 55 with the proper pension and proper benefits, same as any other law enforcement professional. Recognize that we deserve an appropriate pay rate for providing public safety, as we do not only to the confined citizens, but the free citizens that society are afraid of, that they don't want to encounter, that they don't want to deal with. but we deal with it every day. Make sure we receive the training that we're supposed to, instead of using us as scapegoats when we receive little to no training on matters we are expected to address. Provide us with the tools and equipment we need to perform all the functions of the job you want us to perform and to protect confined and non-confined citizens as well as ourselves. Give us a platform and protection in that platform to report tyranny for more than just money-related problems, but tyranny that is self-serving in interest. Provide us with hazard pay we are entitled to have as we have worked this pandemic faithfully, with roughly 80% of the inmate population, as well as many staff being infected and or quarantined with the deadly COVID-19 virus, in which this last one, officers did not even get paid when they were off. They had to use their own time. Yet, despite that, we come in and we do the job thoroughly and diligently, as there's no one else to do it. So much so that we work alongside contract security officers just to fill the gap, because no one wants to come and work at an establishment where there's no benefit of doing so. Do you think people don't see themselves in the same shoes if they come and work for us, that they'll come in on top but soon be forgotten? Annually, I have watched as we have given hundreds of thousands out of the corrections budget, while me and my fellow officers walk around in uniforms that we've had for many years, unable to replace items that often get soaked in urine, OC spray, or because the inmate has lost control and grabbed us. Now our shirts are ripped and stretched. Yet other agencies get new uniforms every year. To continue to ignore these violations is not only a slap in the face for every correctional officer, but it sends a clear message that the meaning of essential in the division of corrections really means expendable. I mean, we don't even get paid in compliments. And I speak for me and a good amount of my fellow officers when I say, not only am I an employee, but I am a citizen of this city. And it would be nice to receive a pay scale where I can afford to live where I work. We need our hazard pay, we need better benefits, we need our proper pay raise, and we need proper training and tools to perform the functions that we are expected to, not only by law, but by the citizens of this city. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, we are law enforcement professionals. We deserve your respect, we deserve your attention to detail, and we deserve a fair and equitable working environment that is conducive of what you yourself would want to endure in any workplace. Thank you.
Thank you. That well spoken, well written. Commissioner Abdullah, any comments on any of that?
Those issues that have been brought up by Mr. Alexander have to be directed to personnel, because it's not anything within my reach.
But
I mean, I think that he has valid points. They are very, from where I came from in the law enforcement sector of corrections in the federal system, the things that he's requesting for the staff are already in place in the federal sector. So it would not be reinventing, creating the wheel. It's already in place in other places.
And I would think, you being, that you would work to get help. I would say, I would ask that you write to us requesting a lot of these things, and in ways and means and public safety, and that, you're the spokesman for all of them. You're the spokesman for the prisoners. You're the spokesman for the people that work there. I know that they should have stab vests, and they were denied those. And some of the things that you should request may have already been told, no, you can't do that, but you are the spokesman for them, and you need to let us know, because a lot of it, we can't even do anything about, because it's personnel, and the mayor, all the people cannot interfere with personnel. That's a fact, but we can try to make things available. We can try to make funding available, and we can go to the voters. We can put things on a ballot. There's a couple of ballots coming up. you know, the same way we did for the uniformed officers where they got the $6,000 raise. The paramedics didn't get it, and the dispatchers didn't get it, and the security, you know, and the guards for the jail. So, I mean, there are things we can do. I would just ask, you know, you're the one that, you know, would have the overall, besides Jeff Hans, who's their union representative, you know, you're their support. You're over that. That's your house. And you know, so anyway, I'm going to go down the committee if you have nothing to add. And so now we're basically on, you know, exactly what Mr. Alexander talked about and why we started this in the first place. So Vice Chairman Boyd, we'll start with you and go down the line.
I just want to say, Mr. Alexander, I feel for you guys and what's going on. I feel your pain. I feel your passion. We owe it to you guys to make sure that you're fairly compensated in your wages. I'm not sure what we can do at the Board of Aldermen except make sure the money is actually in the budget. I'm disappointed that Mr. Franks, you know, retired without making sure that he takes care of that. People want to compare us with St. Louis County all the time, but it's really a travesty if something like that happened in St. Louis County and they realized right away that they needed to increase the pay by $6,000, and that's what you guys are basically asking for. You deserve it, and you deserve more. There's no way you couldn't pay me $100,000 to be a correctional officer at all. I mean, so it takes a real special person, takes a lot of commitment and dedication to public service to be even willing to do that. Because there's a lot of people that you have to deal with as one person. And it's really, like you said, it's too many to deal with. And if we can't get enough correctional officers, the least we can do is adequately compensate you guys in your pay and benefits. So whatever this committee can do, I'm certainly willing to be supportive in ensuring that that happens. I know the director is fairly new. I'm sure she's committed to this as well, but you can't do anything without going through personnel. That's one thing I've learned almost 20 years of being here, and personnel is in nobody's hurry unless it's for them. Now, if they want a pay raise, they'll make damn sure they get a pay raise real quick. But if anybody else in City Hall needs a pay raise, personnel doesn't care. And I want to say that on a record because I've talked to enough people that work for the city of St. Louis that deserve raises and could never make it through their personnel office. And it's just a shame. Look at the wages of everybody that works in human resource in that personnel office. They make good money, but they don't seem to be concerned about making sure the people that do a lot of the heavy lifting like you guys are adequately compensated. So I'm in your corner, director, whatever I can do. I'm going to support you in helping that office run more effectively and efficiently, and people are well compensated. Thank you.
Vice Chairman, can you take over for a few minutes? Someone's at my door.
I sure can.
It'd be Alderwoman Davis.
Hold on, Doc, I'll call you back. Okay. Let me pull up the list. Is it Alderwoman Davis?
Yes, sir.
There you go. You're up.
Thank you very much. First, let me compliment both our union representative, Mr. Hans, and most especially the presentation that was done by our correctional officer. And I don't know anything else that can be said other than we must all be responsible and take care of this. Oh, I'm very close to those issues, and I have watched these employees in those positions become victims of politics. And I almost said something really bad, but victims of politics. And this is where we are today. First of all, to allow a budget to be put in place for that facility by people who have never run anything, nevertheless, a Department of Corrections, without having any input from the people who were in charge, to release half of the employees from the city jail system without any regards of what is really required without any assistance from the professionals that were in leadership. You see, because we have had the privilege of having extremely good management, but when we get in the middle of it with politics, it becomes a disaster. Not providing them with the training that is required. And I know it was given out at the medium security because I witnessed some of it. I saw their certifications after they received them. And that is mandatory. It is mandatory whether it's a federal system or a local system. We need to get serious about this. We are an embarrassment to our citizens. We are an embarrassment to our employees. And I can't expect anybody to do a job 100% if I'm not even 50% in support of you. But we get that every day. People are risking their lives. They are doing their job. And the least we could do is to be responsible. So the staffing level needs to be improved. The wages need to be improved. The training needs to be put in place. And if we, by some chance, don't know or understand how that should happen, there's a strong national organization that has all of that outlined for us. And we had the privilege of them having their convention here in St. Louis. And I attended that convention. I made sure that I went to everything I could go to so I could talk to people from around the country. And one of the things that I did find out is we were very, very, very lucky to have the staff that we had in management. But we got a long way to go to remedy this. All I can say to you all is I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And I want to say to you that you should have never been put in this kind of position. You should have never been left without any support that requires you being safe and you being paid adequately. So as we move forward as a committee, whatever it is that is required for us to get some movement, we need to make sure that that happens. I know a lot of you all are on the Ways and Means Committee as well, and we need to make sure that money is in the budget. But we have to almost do a campaign. We need to do a citizens campaign. And I've never said this before, and you all know that. You all know I always stay in line, in my lane, doing what I'm supposed to do as a legislator. But it is time now. It is time. Between the victims' problems and all, we are not responsible. I'm going to take the blame, although I know where the problems are. I'm going to take the blame because I'm elected. But we've got to do better. We have just got to do better. And if no one else is going to help, we as a committee need to make sure that whatever needs to be done needs to happen. And I assure you that the staff that we have, just to stay in a situation like that, do you know what that takes? Do you know what that does to them mentally? I can't even imagine how they feel when they go home and what they're saying to other people. It's like nobody cares, like you're offering or something. It is wrong. It is so wrong. And if nobody's going to pay attention, we may have to bring in some higher authority to make sure that the things that need to happen there happen. I have a lot of confidence in our public safety director, Dan Eisen, because I know him. I know he gets things done. But remember, he is not the ultimate person in charge. So we have to make sure that we get all the help that everybody needs in order to make this move forward. And we just got to do it. I don't know what else to say. Again, I am so sorry. I am embarrassed. I think we have dropped the ball. I think the city has to do a better job. And anybody in the public that's listening, if you have an idea, please send it to us. I will read everything, and all of you all know, in every crisis that we have had, I will listen. I have no problems with that. And I love to hear from you. So please, 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 we have got to do something better. And we cannot be nonchalant about it. We cannot say, well, that's not my responsibility. All of us have responsibility. And we have got to press forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Howard. Okay, we'll come back. Alderwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Alderwoman Pam Boyd. Unmute.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes. With an echo.
Hold on. I'm having computer problems. That's why I'm trying to do two things to hear. I don't have any questions, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, Alderman Bosley.
1 second, Mr. Chairman.
What did he say? Okay, I'm gonna come back off. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Oldenburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, back to Alderman Muhammad.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a lot of the same comments as the Alderwoman from the 19th Ward. It's a lot to process, and I do feel like we dropped the ball. I would not go on and repeat the same comments that have already been repeated, but I am opening to listening and opening to finding a solution. And I want to say I'm sorry to all the correctional officers and the correctional staff for our neglect. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Mr. Alexander for his testimony, sincerely. And again, I think I agree a lot with what the Alderwoman from the 19th said. And I think these are issues, and this is a matter for this committee to sharpen our pencil and be collaborative towards a solution. All city employees, deserve to have a sense of worth and to feel that the city protects them and that we all have their back. So I think that's the challenge going forward for us, and one we all need to be committed to. So thank you again, Mr. Alexander.
Alderman Narayan.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'd like to just thank Mr. Alexander for his testimony today. I think, from what it sounds like, we're all basically on the same page here. We just got to get these guys the equipment that they need and make sure that they're paid a wage that aligns with the work that they're actually doing. Like the alderman from the 22nd said, there's virtually no hourly amount that I would want to be a correctional officer. And so we have to make sure that we are taking care of the people who are willing to do that job, because I know it is not an easy job. And when you're doing it and you don't feel like the city has your back and you're not provided with adequate equipment to do the job right, I have to imagine that it's incredibly frustrating and downright dangerous. And with that, I will yield. Thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree to echo a lot of the comments that my colleagues have made. I am taken aback by the presentation and by the presentation that was made by Mr. Alexander. I think that none of us now can erase that. We can't say we didn't hear that. So like Alderwoman
Alderwoman Hubbard, we
Davis
can't
said,
see you. Alderwoman Hubbard, we can't see you.
yeah. Okay,
you
well,
there?
I'll put my comments in the chat. I'm having problems and I'm on mommy duty at the bus stop, so I don't know why my camera won't come on. But I'll put my comments. I already had told Mr. Hans that I'm 100% in support of him, Commissioner Clemens, Abdullah, and Mr. Alexander on whatever is required, like Alderwoman Davis said, to support them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Page.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. First and foremost, let me say that.
Can we see you, Alderman Page? Does your video work?
I'm trying to let you know that when I attempt to enable my video, I get an error message that says you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it. It is not on my end.
Okay. STL TV, help us out. Go ahead, Alderman Page. There you go. We can see you.
Now that we've gotten that cleared up, first and foremost, I kind of want to echo the comments of my dear friend, the Alderman from the 19th Ward. And with that, I'd just like to offer 3 very brief comments. First and foremost, I can't go another inch without offering thoughts, prayers, well wishes for the shooting incident that we were made aware of during this hearing that took Dr. Isom away from this hearing. I also pray for support and comfort for their families, the families of the officers that were impacted. Second, I would like to personally thank all of our members of law enforcement. And when I say law enforcement, including corrections, dare I say that again, including corrections for their service. That ranges from St. Louis Police Department to Fire Department to EMS workers and corrections as well. Lastly, I would like to go on the record as saying that I am in support for fair and equitable pay for all of our law enforcement agencies and staff members, including corrections. I have had the opportunity to visit the former workhouse or annex, pick the name of your choice. I've had the opportunity to visit the CJC on multiple occasions, and I believe I have some idea of what our corrections officers are facing. I've actually watched insurrections take place and windows broken and fires set, and seen what the officers have to do to bring order after such incidents get started. So with that, I do support fair and equitable pay. I do support providing the equipment that our officers need. And a third thing, I believe we need to support making sure that our officers get the help they need, be it physical, emotional, mental, or whatever, to enable them to continue doing their jobs and remain whole as human beings. With that, Mr. Vice Chair, thank you, and I yield back.
Okay, we'll go around to, I see some other members. I'll just go by who I see first. That's not on the committee. Alderman Rice, would you like to ask a question, or you have any comments?
No, I'm just here to listen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'd like to ask the director, is anything in the works to address the compensation for our correctional officers?
I sent a letter when I first got here over to personnel. And I think a month or so later, I received something from personnel, and it increased it to for new incoming officers, or increasing the base pay, but that's as far as they went. They advised me via the letter that they were doing some type of audit initially.
Yeah. I think Alderman Bosley. You're chair of public employees, right?
I am. So we have had some conversations about this, differences in employee compensation, and with everything being raised to $15 an hour, and how individuals who have been there for years are now kind of at the same level of individuals who are entry level at the same job. So what's happening before Director Franks left, is people are asking me on the compensation, trying to get the it is, just so you all know. And I appreciate Mr. Alexander's testimony also. The Board of Aldermen can only do so much when it comes down to employees of the city of St. Louis. The Civil Service Commission is set up in a way where they are pretty much ran by themselves and self-sufficient. They discipline themselves. They are the ones who have the ability to hire and fire, and they have to recommend bills that we want to push forward. If they don't recommend them, my understanding, reading the charter, then they are not necessarily thinking. The public employees position in general gives us the ability, of course, to pull any information, submit any information, what's happened come before us, but we still don't have the power to change anything that they necessarily don't recommend. So I would say at this particular point, what would be great as far as moving forward is to get the specific acts that you all have in writing on the information that you sent to the director's office. Then if there was a specific act as far as what the employees are asking for, what you think they should be compensated at, let's figure out specifically what that is. And because Director Frank is there, we have an interim director now. Let's go ahead and ask him, would he be willing to make the recommendation if we can put it in the board? They can just simply make the recommendation once everything is right. So I will say this, for a long time, we blamed a lot on Richard Franks. And just being honest, for the 4 years that I've been here, I've seen a lot of things that we'll point back specifically to that office. Every single department is short. That's every department in the city has been begging for employees. None of them can do their job adequately. They say they have proper equipment. I don't have proper employees. Those are the sentiments of 90% to 95% of all of our departments, and all of those things get changed, especially personnel, as far as increase in employees to that department personnel. Then it definitely shows there's been some type of bridge that hasn't been between personnel and the different departments. So Richard Frank is not there anymore. I think it's about time for us to start looking forward and seeing specifically this next year what we can do to incentivize students to come to the city, retain those ones that we already have, put things in writing, and see if this interim director is going to work under the same wing as Richard Frank. People ready to change their color. We have to ensure that office is in compliance with what the direction of the city is. Every single department is saying we need more employees and we need better equipment. So, that being said, I would just ask that you put it in writing, and we can have the hearing, we can bring the director, any director, bring Nancy Crosby to the table. And once again, ask specifically when those things that you are asking, on those things you ask for in writing, we can ask for them and ask them to recommend it during the hearing. And see if they're willing to work.
Well, Alderman Bosley, the director has already said that she requested it when she first got here, and the best that they were able to do was increase the base pay, which is totally not fair to somebody who's been there for 16 years. If I've worked as a correctional officer for 16 years and I'm making, let's say, $40,000 a year, and then you bring somebody in on day one making $40,000 a year, that's not equitable. That's not fair at all. But I tell you, what I would like to do is your call, is your committee. I would like to hear from the Civil Service Commission. I would like to hear from the current personnel director. Why can't we have a sense of urgency? What are the barriers to us being able to move this process a lot swifter than we have in the past? There's obviously been a changing of the guard since Richard Frank is not there. I don't know how long members of the Civil Service Commission has been there, but if they're making the final decisions, I want to know, how do they feel about, corrections and other employees' compensation levels? So I just want to put that out there, and that's something we can talk about offline if you want to set that up. But that's just kind of like where my head is right now.
I just want to add this: we were having weekly meetings with Director Franks, Jared Boyd, Chief of Staff of the Mayor's Office, Nancy Cross was there a few times, Todd Walter, a few other directors also. We were having weekly meetings about employee compensation and trying to figure out how to retain and incentivize individuals to plug themselves with the city, or to sign up for employment with the city. So I hope that remaining individuals that are there are still in that same mindset of wanting to work that out. But I will say the mayor's office, people who are working in that capacity, trying to ensure that we do have employees, they are 100% on board in making sure that our compensation is correct. One of the main things that was a part of the conversation is how do we make sure that people get the pay that they deserve, and everybody's not coming in on that same level. So I do want you to know that although there hasn't been changes, there is multiple conversations about it. There are people in high places that are thinking about you all and trying to figure out how best to move forward to ensure that you get what you deserve. Even as far as the hazard pay, there has been conversation about that also. Trying to figure out what it is that we can do to give you all some sort of a bonus. Some conversation that we had amongst the caucus some months back right before Christmas. So, there are conversations being had about what we can do to help out our employees, make them feel much more appreciated.
Okay.
Hasn't been as much action as we thought, but we'll be saying some things over the years in the future. Appreciate you.
All right. So with that, we need to move from conversation to action. Is the chairman back? If not, we're gonna probably wrap this session up.
Okay, I'm gonna jump off.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm back. Someone at the door, and then I was looking at all the updates about the two officers, both city officers that were shot and at the hospital. So anyway, so I want to, thank the commissioner for coming and Mr. Alexander for coming. And I apologize, he had to jump in and out so much. But, I have faith that in this group of older people that will work on this. And if we need to, then maybe like we did for the uniformed officers, maybe we need to do another ballot initiative. It's too late for April, but not too late for August. That maybe we do a ballot initiative to, that way the funds would directly have to go to, to what the initiative would be. Because I agree, it's not just even you guys, it's the EMS workers that didn't get it, we can't keep good paramedics. I can't say we have great paramedics, but I'm just saying the county seems to swoop up our guys, having anybody a paramedic that's been around a long time is rare because they get scooped up, so. Anyway, well, I appreciate you guys coming. We're going to go on with the meeting. You certainly don't have to stay. Commissioner Abdullah, you let us know what you need. We're there for you. I know sometimes they view us as the enemy because we bring out problems that they'd rather not be brought out, but nothing gets solved if we don't bring stuff out, and we try to keep things in the open as we can. I'm looking forward to the new commission as they get put together. I think that's going to be a big help for everybody. So anyway, thank you guys. We're going to go on with the meeting, but thank you. So if you guys want to leave, certainly you probably won't want to stay for all this. But thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move forward here. Let's do Alderman Bosley. You want to go ahead and do Board Bill 149? Are you with us? I hope still.
Thank you. Yes, sir, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay, and Alderman, we're going to start with Alderman Bosley. He doesn't have amendments. This will be a little quicker. Alderman Bosley, it's about a packaged liquor moratorium. It's in your area. The only question I would have on the liquor moratorium with the wards that are changing, how does that affect those things?
So the way that I see it happening is the majority of the ward that I'm in, the majority of the ward that that I still have right now, I got about 60% of it that should be ward. What is that? 14 or District 14 when everything kind of comes back. So the majority of the residents, especially around the residential area, still would like things to be dry. We got a lot of liquor stores, more than enough. This is merely to open up the business over these next few months for different bars and restaurants, well, not restaurants, but more so bars and other places that want to have a license. Therefore, it's not being done right in the middle of election time where we got a million other things going on. And, you know, it goes right back to being a moratorium in, I believe, May, the 1st of May. So opening up to about the, and therefore, you know, whoever is the alderman, when things come back, if they want to change it, they can make changes. But, you know, it's not just left open for, you know, a bunch of folks to come on down and come have a thought of having liquor stores all over the area where we get ready to have the NGA and a bunch of other places. So just kind of re-putting it back in place. I know once the election starts, man, it's going to be a lot of things on our minds and we all will be all over the place. And this probably won't be something that I'm even thinking about that's getting ready to expire.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go down the line. So as we move through things, Vice Chairman Boyd, any questions on the moratorium?
Yeah, I'm against moratoriums. I don't think anybody should have. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any questions.
That would seem like it was going to be mean for a minute. Alderwoman
I was going to
Davis.
say, okay.
Oh, I don't have any questions, sir. You know, I believe in the moratoriums. That's one of our problems. Too much alcohol being sold all day, all night. Thank you.
Alderwoman Howard. She may have had to step out. I know she had something. Alderwoman Spencer.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Alderwoman Pam Boyd. No questions. Okay. Well, I hope Alderman Basil, you don't have any problems with it. Alderman Muhammad. I saw him here a little bit ago. He might have stepped out. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Brett Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderman Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Other than to say that I completely understand and support the purpose of the moratorium, I have no further questions or comments.
And I will piggyback off the vice chairman. I have no problem with the moratorium, maybe just the sponsor of the moratorium. Just kidding.
Oh,
I just thought since we're all being mean, I thought, you know, Alderman.
So just don't throw something in there, huh?
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. I actually like the sponsor. He's my friend. Anyway, Alderman, you are recognized to close on Board Bill 149.
Well, thank you once again. I appreciate you all, and I ask for your favorable consideration on Board Bill 149.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, yes, please.
You want to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, well, I make a motion to approve Board Bill 149 with a due pass recommendation.
Second. Previous
Yeah.
row.
Well, there were people came in and out since then. Do you want to go with? I'm fine with it. There's.
You're chairman.
No, I hear no objection to previous role. We're going to move on. Alderman Todd.
First of all,
I'm going to recognize you now on Board Bill 155.
this is a very,
We're going to try to help you through it because I know you have 3 amendments and we'll hear all 3 amendments and I believe we can vote them at one time.
okay, do you want me to begin now?
Yeah,
let me read each amendment, each part of it.
Okay.
To amendment, okay, amendment number 1, Board Bill number 155. To
Right.
amend this, To amend said board bill page 4 line 1 to page 4 line 2 as follows. Beginning on page 3 line 1, strike out the word effective date. The provision of this ordinance shall become effective on May 1st, 2022. Emergency clause, and insert it instead thereof to read in the words of the figures as follows. Emergency clause. This being an audience for the preservation of public peace, health, and safety, it is hereby declared to be an emergency measure within the meaning of section 19 and 20, Article 4 of the Charter of the City of St. Louis, and therefore this audience shall become effective immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor. Amendment number 2 to board bill number 155. To amend said bill, page 3, line 22 as follows. Beginning on page 3, line 22, strike out the words. Approve the issuance of new 5% licensed beer license. Amendment number 3. The board bill board bill number 155 to amend this board bill, page 3, line 22 as follows. Beginning on page 3, line 22, strike out the words, approve the issuance of a new 5% license, parentheses, beer license. I will keep going.
Your next amendment, and then.
Next amendment, board bill number 155 as amended and introduced by
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Point of Order.
Yeah, no, please, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we need to vote each amendment separately.
Okay, I didn't know when I talked to our attorney, you said he thought we could do them together, but if you want, we'll certainly, I'll go with what you recommend. Let's vote then amendment number 1. Did you want to hear all 3 first, then vote them out, or how did you want to do that?
We can do it as we go. I move to adopt amendment number 1 to board bill
155.
155.
Second.
Previous roll. Is there a call for previous roll?
Previous roll.
No objection to previous roll. Amendment number 1's put in there, and amendment number 2 then. Alderman Todd, do you want to go ahead and reread amendment number 2 and we'll vote?
Amendment number 2 to board bill number 155. To amend said board bill, page 3, line 22 as follows. Beginning on page 3, line 22, strike out the words 4, which is number 4, approve the issuance of a new 5% license, in parentheses, beer license. Amendment number 3 to the board bill number 100.
No, stop there. We're on 2.
Sorry,
We'll stop there on 2. Okay.
I move for adoption of amendment number 2 to board bill 155.
Second. Previous roll.
roll.
Hearing no objection to previous roll. Alderman Todd, go ahead and give us amendment number 3.
Amendment number 3 to board bill number 155. To amend said board bill, page 3, line 22, as follows. Beginning on page 3, line 22, strike out the words. Number 4, which is approve the issuance of a new 5% license, in parentheses, beer license.
Okay, we'll take a motion on amendment number 3 to board bill.
Move to adopt amendment number 3 to board bill 155.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection to previous roll. So what we have before us now is board bill 155 as amended. Let me go down the line. Alderman Boyd, Vice Chairman Boyd, any questions?
No questions.
Alderwoman Davis, any questions?
No questions.
Alderwoman Howard, I apologize. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Spencer.
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Bosley.
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Oldenburg,
No, sir, no questions.
Alderman Brett Ryan,
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Page,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No comments or questions other than to reiterate the same comments I made relative to Board Bill 149. Thank you.
I have no questions. Alderman Todd, you're recognized to close on Board Bill 155 as amended. What, I mean, just if you would just want to ask for favorable consideration and we can vote it out.
I will ask this Honorable Safety Committee members and the chairman for favorable consideration to vote out Board Bill number 155.
Do we have a motion to vote out Board Bill 155 as amended?
I make a motion to vote out Board Bill 55 as amended.
Second.
Is there a call?
Previous roll.
Okay. Hearing no objection to previous roll, we've passed out Board Bill 155 as amended. Congratulations, both Alderman Todd and Alderman Bosley. Now,
Thank you all so much for your favorable consideration. Thank you and be safe.
so now we got a resolution. This is resolution number 79. Vice Chairman Boyd, who was the chairman of the committee that went through and did the money, that's how we're going to spend that $1 million this year, where it goes. I recognize you and Pam Boyd and everyone that sat on that committee for your hard work and efforts. Alderman Boyd, can you go ahead and let us know?
Sure.
Board Bill, or I'm sorry.
Resolution
Resolution
79.
number 79.
Sure. The subcommittee met and we reviewed Corner Word Foundation recommendations for funding. We took most of them. A couple of them we didn't. We had made a commitment last round that, you know, some of the agencies that have been getting funding since the inception of the program, you know, may not get funding this time. So some people may have seen a couple of them fall off, but one of the justification is they pretty much have a development director, somebody that raises money for that larger organization all the time. And we really wanted to support organization that was more on the grassroots level that can help create sustainable change in the community. So Exhibit A are the organizations that were recommended. We made one modification to an organization, Throwing and Growing, wanted 107,750. We were committed to no one being funded more than 100,000. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we funded 14 agencies. In the past, we've done as many as 30, and it was very cumbersome for the program monitor and the public safety department to manage that many people. Now, over the past couple of cycles, we've got it down to a more manageable level. We did something that was kind of unique. The committee talked about how some organizations that didn't make the cut, that didn't score well, we should engage them and let them know what some of the shortcomings were. And then we should also have a workshop before the RFP comes out to kind of let people know what the expectations are. So we had about $15,411 left over. And our recommendation was that that portion be used to support educational workshops for future applicants, and again, applicants that did not score well. And the expectation is that the workshops be held prior to the RFP notice for funding, prior to it being published. So over the past several years, we've really put a lot of thought into how these funds should be allocated to the community. And I appreciate all the hard work of the team on the subcommittee that participated in this. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will take any questions.
Okay. We can go down the list, or we could just open it. Well, I'll go down the list, that way we won't have to worry. And once we pass this resolution, that means that money goes there. It does not go back to the full Board of Aldermen. Hopefully everybody's looked at the list and has no real problems, but any changes would have to be done now or forever hold your peace. Alderwoman Davis.
No comment, sir. Thank you very much.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have none.
Okay, Alderwoman Pam Boyd,
No questions.
Alderman Bosley,
No question, sir. Thank you.
Alderman John Mohammed, Alderman Oldenburg,
No questions.
Alderman Brett Narayan,
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Page,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions or comments. Thank you.
and I have none. Seeing none, Vice Chairman Boyd would.
Yes,
you want to
Mr.
close?
Chairman, I like to make a motion to adopt resolution 79.
Second,
Previous row.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, we have passed out resolution 79. And again, I can't even say how much I appreciate Alderman Boyd, Alderwoman Boyd, and Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Alderman Oldenburg.
All those, I don't know who all served
Alderman
on that committee, Alderman Howard and Alderman Oldenburg, for doing this, because it's not an easy task for those that haven't done it, because you have to tell some people no that, I'm sorry. Alderman Davis, you have your hand up, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, it was not pertaining to this topic. I can wait until you're finished.
Okay, I was just thanking everybody, because that one, people are calling you saying, well, I think this is a good one. And you have other aldermen calling saying, well, I got this that I'd like to see. And, you have to, it's easy. The ones that are easy to say is, yes, we're going to give you money. The hard ones, when you have to tell a fellow alderman or a group that, sorry, maybe not this year, we'll look at it again next year. So I thank you guys for your commitment to this and the time and effort you spent doing this. Alderwoman Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you. Let me see here. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to again recognize that we should make sure that we put out additional prayers for our police that were shot today, and also for the 2 policemen that were hit by vehicles yesterday. It is definitely a dangerous situation to be out here in. Our city is under siege. We are in a position where people believe that they can do anything they want to do. They're not going to be any charges put against them, and they're not going to be serving any time for anything wrong. They don't have to have license plates on their car, appropriate registrations. They don't have to do anything, because we have become, and I don't know how we got to where we are, but we have to do better on behalf of the citizens. We are afraid. We are afraid all day and all night. We are under siege, and we don't have enough staff to even begin to take care of the problem, nor do we have the support for them who are doing the job. And we are undermining them as they are trying to follow the rules and regulations of the law. I am just, again, so sorry that we are in the predicament that we are in, but we must do better. And God have mercy on all of us. Thank you.
You know what? Thank you for saying that. And yeah, my understanding, of course, if you Facebook, whatever, but apparently this is the officers that were shot. It's fairly, really not good, serious, I heard. So I don't know, you can't, but yeah, it's pretty bad. Vice Chairman Boyd, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to echo what the Alderman for the 19th said. You know, over the past several years, it just seems like, you know, the community have been so hard against our police officers. And they deserve a lot more respect and they deserve a lot more support. I think some of us are feeling the impact of the quality of service that we used to get, because a lot of police officers are concerned about if they, you know, handle somebody the wrong way, if they turn the wrong way, they'll be ostracized. And then when you hear these ludicrous terms about defund the police, you know, that doesn't sound good on any level. I don't care how you try to explain it. It does not sound good. And I have a little brother through big brother and big sister that I've been with since he was 15 years old. He's been a police officer now for 3 years. I worry about him, you know, every day. And when they say stuff like this, my first thing is to start texting, you know, to see if it's him. And I know the Alderman from the 27th has a son-in-law that's a police officer. And we don't give them enough support. I mean, I think I do, but I question as a body if we truly give them the support that they deserve, because they truly put their lives on the line. And anybody that always want to say, well, screw the police, this the police, that the police, just be in need. Like you call on Jesus, you'll be calling 911, I promise you. So we need to figure out how we can support our police officers better, how we can boost their morale instead of turn their morale down. I'm hurt every time I hear something about a police officer being shot. And we're just coming off a firefighter on the 13th of January, a day I'll never forget, died in a house fire, risking his life because he thought somebody was in there trying to save somebody else's life. So I would hope that we create a paradigm shift in the city of St. Louis, where we deal with the bad people. We tell on the bad people. We get bad people incarcerated, not bail. When they've assaulted people, like I just heard today, I'm appalled that the gentleman that was let go, that was brought back, has bail. That is amazing to me, how any judge has the courage to do that after what I've read happened to that young lady. Like the Alderman from the 19 said, we have to do better. It's incumbent upon us as city leaders that we stand with our first responders and we do more to encourage them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And I agree. The first thing I did while you saw my picture go away is the first thing I do is, because I know my son's on duty right now. The first thing I do is text him, "Are you okay?" And although he can't give me any details, he said, "I'm okay. It's bad." That was his statement to me. "I'm okay. It's bad." You know, and I met your little brother, Jeffrey, or Alderman Boyd, Vice Chairman Boyd. What a great kid he is. He's not a kid. I had a homeless guy that was made his house in an alley out of old furniture. And I got calls, and it was up off Chippewa. And he was the officer that responded. And he was very respectful to the homeless person. He was a young guy. His first time he was homeless, his parents threw him out. He took him to St. Patrick's Center. He was smart enough to protect himself. He said, "You know, I don't take any offense to this, but I do have to handcuff you, make sure you don't have a weapon, but I will drive you down there in my police car, but that's just our policy." He made sure that this young man got there, that got in. What a good kid. I always brag on my little brother, Michael, who now with all the stuff going on, you know, he's on the SS Harry Truman, you know, but, you know, so first off, Alderwoman Davis, thank you. I should have started with that. Alderman Boyd, I get your concern. Like I said, the first thing I did was text my son, "Are you okay?" And, you know, yes, and it's bad. So I'm, you know, very concerned. But anyway, I think that was the end of our business unless anybody else has any comments.
I'll just say something real quick.
Sure.
I also just want to, express my sentiments to those two officers getting shot, and to those folks that are watching, for the grandmothers out there and individuals who know what be going on sometimes in the city. I just want, we got to be realistic about what's happening out here. If folks ain't afraid to shoot at the police, they definitely not going to be afraid to do whatever it is that's going to be happening this summer. If the police ain't off limits, the folks who are legally supposed to be running around carrying guns, who have the authority to, hop out at speeds that you can't drive at, like, these are individuals who are supposed to protect and serve. And if there is not the fear of us sending the cavalry out for us to protect our officers who are supposed to protect our citizens, then we are most certainly as a city going to have some issues and problems this summer. So, I would hope that the police are out in droves this evening, really being aggressive. And I don't mean aggressively policing nonviolent citizens, but definitely going to those areas where that are troubled and asking questions, man. Go out here and ensure that they know, and individuals know within the city, that we will go hard for our officers. Just like we try to go hard for our citizens, the only people that you come and you think they're supposed to come and save you are the police. You call them, you call 911 when there's a problem. And if ain't nobody there to pick up the phone, if these officers feel like they're running into danger while we're running away from them, when they get in danger, we won't even protect them or do the best that we can while they're down to help them up. We can't expect them to run into burning buildings. We can't expect them to run into suicide missions where they could get shot. Come expect them to do the things that we desire in the middle of the night to help keep our families safe, when them themselves are being looked at as casualties of circumstances within the job, the scope of the job that they work. They are human beings, just like we see on the flip side of that. When they take that badge off, they're human beings. And in that hospital, they're not wearing no police uniform. These are humans at the same time, also city residents. So, I just want to put that out there and make sure that individuals that are watching us need to ensure that whoever shot these police officers in the street, because if they that comfortable, imagine what they're going to do to our neighborhoods this summer.
I hesitate to do it because I tried it once before, although one of my best friendships came out of it. I would love to go back and do a resolution in support of the police. I know there was issues the last time and it was more of a controversial time. And like I say, one of my best friendships came out of it. We were on opposite sides and then hugged and became great friends. Maybe it's time that we do something again, supporting the police, at least letting them know we support them. If anybody wants to help me word that in a way that we don't feel is controversial. These are, Alderwoman Boyd's son-in-law is the head of homicide now. And very much in the mix. He's been good about sending us updates, and I sent everybody on the whole Board of Aldermen should have got the year's crime report now. I know that we asked for that in the last meeting and they got it to us. One of the questions that I wanted to ask, Dan Howard, or Dan Isom, before you had to leave, was there was, 2,000 some odd gun violence in the city. It was, the number I believe was over 2,000, close to 3,000. I was curious, out of those 3,000, how many people were shot? There were some questions I would like to have asked that he couldn't answer. Rightfully so, he had to leave, but 3,000 gun violence in a small city is a lot of people. So rather than keep delaying the meeting, I guess we can, I'll accept a motion to adjourn unless somebody has something else to say.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, everyone. We are now adjourned.